with liberty and justice for all.
And we do the Texas pledge.
I can never get that one right now.
I pledge allegiance.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. The first item on our, as I said, we do have a quorum. First item on our agenda is public comment. Has anyone signed up for public comment?
Mr. Chairman, no one has signed up for public comment.
Would anyone in the audience like to address this body? 1, 2, 3, hearing not, we will close public comment and go to item number 2, approval and signing of the minutes of September 16th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second. Motion from Mr. Mena, second from Mr. Khalil Avalo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We'll go to item number 3. Let the record show that Mr. Berg has joined us. Item number 3, review and approval of the financial reports for August 2021.
Good evening, Rosa Goldman, Chief Financial Officer. We are presenting the financial report for the month of August 2021. The financial report contains the balance sheet, report of revenues, expenditures, and changes in cash balance, the investment report, and the note to the financial report. So you look at page number 3. This where we have the note to the financial report, and we have a few accounts that are over budget. However, as a whole, the budget is still positive. We are not in a negative position. So the building and janitorial account is over budget by $8,654 due to the additional supplies to disinfect and sanitize due to COVID-19. The building improvements is over budget by $38,656. And this is related to the fixing of the parking lot on the second floor that we had talked about. The next account is the postage and mailing, which had been over budget already for a few months due to being a reappraisal year and had to send notice of appraised value to all properties. Also, increasing protest caused higher volume of appraisal review board appointment letters, which are mailed by certified mail. So that's a higher cost. The next account is the supplemental help needed to clean and sanitize during protest season and to cover the staff who retired or voluntarily left. The next account is computer expense, our budget by $3,046. We needed this to update IT tools to test and troubleshoot equipment. The next one is computer equipment, over budget by $10,093. We needed to buy projectors for classroom and boardroom. Next account is books, publications, subscriptions. It's over budget by $1,533 due to a purchase of a report that provides the sales data of residences. And then the last one is appraisal review board, over budget by $13,182, and it was due to increase in protest during the protest season. Now, on the litigation reserve below, which we had encumbered funds that have been carried over to this fiscal year, for the month of August, the bill came at $142,687. So, as you see, we have all the months where we have been taking monies from debt reserve. So the balance as of August 31st is $37,878. So we still have a little bit left for September's bill. And as you know, September is the last month of the fiscal year. So this report is as of August. So we just need one more month for the fiscal year.
You had a
Yes, sir.
question? I'm sorry, on the, and I didn't hear it, on the supplemental help temps, what was,
What we do during the summer, because of COVID, this summer and last summer, we brought in a person from a tip agency, and all that person did was clean down the panel rooms after every hearing. This was to ensure the public that the rooms that they were going into were clean, and so they would wipe everything down. And since we started early and ended later because we had more protests than we had anticipated, well, we had anticipated we were going to have them. We knew we were, but so that's what that supplemental help is. Yeah, we want to make sure the public felt safe. We felt like we did it during COVID 2020, but we felt like we needed to do it again in 2021 as people were getting out and going back out again. You know, vaccines were still just kind of coming around. So that's what that was for, Mr. Miller.
Any other questions?
any other questions from the board, for Ms. Goldman?
I just wanted to ask about the increase in protests. What does that kind of amount to?
Okay, historically, the 10-year, we did a 10-year average. 10-year average of the number of protests that were filed was about 19,000 protests, which is about 4.5% of the overall appraisal roll. This year, we hit about 10% of the appraisal roll. We had 38,000 protests filed. We've been seeing an increase. We had 26,000 last year and about 22,000 the year before. But this was the biggest year we've had in 10 years. The max we've had in a 10-year time period was 26,000, and the least we had was 16,000. So it averaged out to about 19,000. So yes, we were quite a bit over the average, and we were over what we had the year before.
So it doubled.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Mhm. And it all has to do with the market change that we have to follow by state law.
Dan, I have a question on the education. We have education and dues. We actually have 30,000 that hadn't been spent yet. My question is, how do we educate the appraisers that we hire? We're not getting people who have been appraisers and then come to work for us. I mean, these are people who might have just graduated, or they may be just have an interest in appraising, and then we hire them. But what kind of
There's a
education?
requirement, the state law and the state comptrollers, there's requirements that anybody who deals with value has to go through an education process. The coursework is approved
Is that
by
what
the
that
state.
money's for?
Yes, sir. Not only that, but then there's continuing education units that they must keep going. And there's 30 units within every 2 years, so they have to have 15 units per year. Plus, there's required courses when there is legislation. There is a law and rule update that they must attend. There is a uniform standards of appraisal practices review that they must attend every year, and or every 2 years, and an ethics that they have to attend every 2 years. Plus, we are bringing in International Association of Assessing Officers designations. So we have employees now that are going for that designation. And so we created instructors in-house. We used to have to send everybody out of town.
Right.
So we educated and sent them through instructor training courses. So we have in-house instructors, myself, Rick Medina, James Thompson, Eric Wright, Tony Delgado, that can teach in-house. So that saved us from the travel money, so we were able to bring in international courses so our employees can not just meet the state requirement, but expand and go even higher with education with international courses. We just had a business personal property course that was an IAAO course that we had a full class that went to that, some for continuing education and some to work on their designation, international designation. So.
Do you have vacancies?
We have vacancies. We're down to just 3 vacancies. So we were.
Are you comfortable that the staff you have is properly prepared, or do you feel like we could be investing more to give them a better edge on being able to do
I
their
think the
job?
education that we're doing with bringing in the international courses and then the seminars that they get online now through the different appraisal ASA, Appraisal Institute, So we keep them very much on that part of it.
Those
I think when we
seminars
get
have
to next year's budget, we may talk to you about some changes in the employment status. But for now, the budget that just went into effect October 1st, we're good.
We want to give you the resources you need.
Yes,
That's
thank
all.
you. We appreciate it.
And those seminars that they attend, they have questions at the end that they've got.
Oh, yes.
And do you review the results of how they did in their courses?
Oh, yes.
To ascertain whether or not you want them to be on your team?
Yes, definitely. With the appraisers, they must pass the courses, and they must pass 2 exams. To be an appraiser, they have to be registered with the state. Registered professional appraiser is what they have to have. So the coursework is set up by the state comptroller and the Property Tax Education Coalition, PTAC. And so there are beginning courses, tax law, cost approach, market approach, income approaches, mass appraisal, analyzing an appraisal, ethics, appraisal ethics. So there's several courses, business, personal property. These have to be taken. Then after 3 years, their first 3 years, they have to take a 4-hour exam. And then they have 2 more years, then they have to take another exam. And they have to pass all those courses and those exams to continue to be an appraiser. That is set by the comptroller's rules and the requirements under Texas Department of Licensing and Reg. We are registered with the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations, and we all have our license through them.
I just want to make sure you're happy with your team.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, my team is fantastic. And the education, we're bringing in more and more with the international courses and the ASA courses and the seminars. Rick Medina and Dina Arnales, they set up courses. There are seminars that we'll send them to. We're sending a group of our staff that are not appraisers. They work for our deeds and exemptions. They're having a deeds and exemptions seminar in Austin regarding all the changes in the law on the exemptions. We're going to send them to that. So we're constantly educating not just the appraisal staff, but all the staff.
Are you, is your staff, or are you members of CCIM or the Board of Realtors? My question is, sometimes it's
tried.
good for the private public sector to get together to do
You would
this
think
right.
They don't want us. We've tried to
Probably.
be members of the Board of Realtors, and they've
They
said
don't
thank
want
you,
you.
but no thank you.
And
Yeah.
CCIM also.
They're
doesn't
very
want you.
nice, and we're very nice, and I go and I give presentations, but we're different.
I get it,
makeup. You know, they are for selling and that type. You know.
I can help on that because I was actually on the board of directors when you all used to be part of GEPAR, the board. And the biggest reason they stopped it was because we're a non-disclosed state. And they did not want sales prices of homes being disclosed through central appraisal. And that was the biggest reason and pushback for why they stopped central
And
appraisal.
we have gone
I
back to
need
them.
to,
Oh,
excuse
just
me, we're getting.
I just want to make sure you had enough money. That's all I was
Far
going
off of
for.
our agenda.
I was sticking
so
with
we need
money.
to pull it back.
With this budget,
I'm
we're
sorry.
good.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Thank you. Thank you. And I need to back up. I made a faux pas here. I forgot to welcome the newest member of our board. This is his first meeting, Mr. Acevedo from EPIC. Welcome.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
You need a motion to approve this?
Well, are we done?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Don't
you
have
for your
questions.
presentation. Are there any more questions for Ms. Goldman? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve the financials, and I have a second from Mr. Mena. Is there photography and
Right.
change this text?
I'll turn this over to David Stone, so he can, we do have from the Eagle View, who is our current vendor that we use for our aerials, we do have some of their representatives here. If they would like to just introduce yourself real quick before Mr. Stone gets started.
Yeah, good evening. I appreciate y'all having us. My name's Kevin Beers. I'm the district manager with Eagle View, based in Austin. I've been with the company for 13 years or so, and we've had the pleasure of working with y'all for a number of years. So we're happy to be here.
I'm Stephen Ross. I'm the regional technical manager. Been with Eagle View for 2 years, and also first time in El Paso, City. Look forward to working with you guys.
Okay, We previously had a 6-year contract with Eagle View to fly 3 flights over the 6-year period. And they split the cost of each flight over 2 years. The contract just expired this past fiscal year, and we're scheduled to start doing flights this year. 2 months ago, we came to the board and we asked for permission to go out for an RFP for new aerial photography. But in the process of getting all our ducks in a row, we spoke to our software vendor, which is Harris Govern, that does our CAMA system, and they told us that they had a new GIS tool for that appraisers would be able to use that's very user-friendly, that you don't have to be a GIS guru to be able to analyze data. So we were very excited about that. So when in the course of the discussion, it came out that the only vendor of aerial photography in the state that is fully compatible with that software is Eagle View. So we did not go out for an RFP because I didn't want to make all these guys jump through hoops and they had no shot at getting the contract. So the reason is Eagle View's aerial photography is fully integrated into the software module. It's called Maddox, and it allows for to integrate the CAMA software, which is the computer-assisted mass appraisal data, with the aerial photography, with our Esri mapping system, and it allows the aerial photography of the orthogonal, which is the straight down view from the top, which any vendor, we can integrate the orthogonal view, but they also have an oblique view that shows the property at an angle from all 4 sides. So you can basically do a 360 walk around on any building, and that comes in very handy. We don't have the example, but back when when Eagle View first did this, there's a lot of like trick photography things that they can show you that when you look on it straight down and you look at it from a side view, it's totally different. And we've had properties where you can't tell from the straight down view what's there, but when you go around to the back, you can see like, well, they built the house on the edge of a cliff and it's got 2 more stories below ground level that you can't see because it's a gated community. And they came in to complain, and we do the little oblique view on the side and say, "Isn't this your property?" Oh, okay. So, in other words, the oblique view is very important to the appraisal process. Now, in the current budget that we just entered into on October 1st, we had several feedback from several of the taxing entities that they want aerial photography more than once every other year. They want annual aerial photography. So we put that in the budget for this year. So our cost is going to go up. Now, the proposal that we got that we're recommending to the board from Eagle View is a 2-year contract for 2 flights at $255,840 a year for the flight. It's for 3-inch resolution on the aerial photographs, which is what we were getting in only selected urban built-up areas of the county, but we're expanding it to the whole county at 3-inch because the cost is only about 4% more than dividing the county up and doing some of it at 9-inch and some of it at 3-inch. And that way, if there's unexpected growth in some areas of the county, we'll get the full resolution on the aerial photographs. In this budget item, we also mentioned Change Finder, but we're still in talks with them to get a good estimate on that right now because it's done on a per parcel basis, and we're trying to map out which areas of the county we're going to do it on, because the problem that we have is out by Horizon City, they've got all that old stuff that got subdivided, but it's all vacant land, and there's like thousands of parcels out there, but all of them are desert, and they're not going to get built up in the near future. So there's no point in us running them through the change finder because there's nothing there and there's not going to be anything there. So we're in the process of working with Eagle View to carve out that area that we don't want change finder in to bring the cost down. Now, on the 255,840 is over what we budgeted. When we made the budget back in March, we were estimating it was going to be 210,000. But we do have money in the budget that we can use to cover it. So we won't go over budget and we don't need to go into contingency. So I'm asking that the board approve the 2-year contract with Eagle View in the amount of $255,840 a year.
Per year.
Per
Per year.
And I will let the board know, for those of you that are new, the state comptroller comes in and does a methods and procedures review of the appraisal district every other year. And by having the aerials the way we have it, we're able to measure properties that we can't get to, like your gated areas and what have you. And because we had this capability, we were able to pass that part of the maps review. Even though we didn't go out in person, we were able to do measurements with having those aerials that come in and we can turn it around. We're able to measure the sides of the building, and we can get accurate measurements from that. So it helps us to not only verify our own work in areas that we can get to, but to get that, and that to get to areas that we can't get to. So that did help us in passing our maps review the 1 year. So.
Mr. Bennett?
A few questions. Where will we get the other $45,000? And would there be any other incurred expenses? Like you mentioned, the software from Maddox, is that going to cost us any more?
We already bought the Maddox software out of last year's budget. So the only thing that we'll have to pay out of this year's is the maintenance, which is relatively cheap, because they gave us a deal. Harris Govern gave us a deal because we had a software plug-in for GIS called GIS Appraiser, which we were already contracted with them, but that did not have any kind of analytics that the appraisers could run against the GIS data. So they gave us credit that we had already had GIS Appraiser, so we did not have to pay for any individual user licenses to get the Maddox software. We just had to pay for the initial software and configuration. So we saved money that we didn't have to buy individual user licenses. But we already have purchased the Maddox software, so the only thing that we need to worry about now is buying the aerial photography to get it in.
And the difference is coming from software enhancement. We do budget a line item for software enhancement, so it will come from that.
Okay. Mr. Berg, did you have a?
Just Eagle View Technologies, do you guys do Austin too?
Yes, sir.
So have you done a comparison to see how much per square mile, for example, Austin's paying for this versus what we're paying to be sure that we're in line, that they're not just charging El Paso more because they love El Paso so much?
I'll be honest with you, they're probably charging us less.
Okay, as
Yeah.
long as they're charging us less, I'm fine with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Just don't want them charging us more.
They know because we're so far west. I mean, they work really well with us, and same with our CAMA system.
Yeah, we were, just for context, we work with about 170 appraisal districts just in the state of Texas, so we work with a lot. And, you know, we really pride ourselves on treating everybody equally. And I think they would agree that if we were doing that, we were charging some different than others, they would know about it, and we wouldn't be in business anymore.
Do you charge by the hour, by the square mile?
By square mile. By square mile.
By square
and
mile.
Resolution. of the
That's
unit.
what I would do, right. And resolutions are uniform pretty much throughout all the,
Yeah, so what we had proposed was that 3-inch coverage, which historically we had done just.
I
in
agree with that.
subsidiaries.
David's
Yeah,
right.
There's a price point for the 3-inch, and then the 9-inch is a little bit more affordable.
no, it makes no sense. We ought to go with the 3-inch throughout.
And one of the benefits is they already have the permission to fly over the border. Because there are sections, we
Right on the
we
border.
border it. And so to get those type of photography, they have to be able to circle around and fly over. and they have permission from the Mexican government to do that. And that took a while to
That's a
get.
very big deal because we had one year that the Mexican government didn't give them authorization to fly. So when we had the aerial photography, most of downtown El Paso and everything within like so many hundreds of yards of the river was black. So we immediately got a call from City Hall. How come you don't have, because that's
How come you don't
right
have
when they
downtown?
built the new stadium downtown, and the new aerials weren't showing the stadium because it was in the blacked out area.
Now they are, right?
But
Yes.
they got it straightened out. But that's why you just can't go to anybody and say, yeah, come in and go ahead and fly, because you have to have that relationship with Mexico that they're not going to throw up any roadblocks when it comes time to try to take the aerial photography.
Are there, to your knowledge, are there any other central appraisals, even outside of Texas, that are using an alternative form of technology, whether it be a satellite or any other type of GIS system to
There-
take pictures?
Yes, there are, and in fact, Bear is using another competitor called Near Maps. But the reason that we're going with Eagle View is because of the Maddox software and the ability to give the appraisers the analytics in the GIS. If the Maddox software would fully accept anybody's aerials, we would have gone out for RFP and to shop around and see what kind of deal we could get. But right now, and I point blank asked Harris, I said, can you accept other aerial photographs? And they said only orthogonal view, not the oblique view. And Eagle View is the only company that functions in Maddox with the orthogonal and the oblique view. So that's why we decided to drop everything at that point and say, okay, we've got to go with Eagle View because we don't want to lose that functionality.
And I think if I may, I think you're asking if there's other, like satellite imagery or Google Earth or those
I'm
types.
also asking that.
Right. I've talked to other, not just here in Texas, but throughout the country, and those aren't accurate. They're not accurate, they're not easily accessible, they're not always, like satellite's not always up and running. And to have what we have to share with all of the taxing entities, we have found that pretty much every assessment office we talk to now uses this form. I do know of a appraisal district in Texas that uses a helicopter, so if you'd like to buy me a helicopter, I'd be happy.
Jackie's going to buy it.
Yeah.
Well,
He does use it. He rents a helicopter and will go and physically view, but it's a very rural, very small county. But I don't know of any other technology.
Ms. York.
I want to your point about Maddox, Mr. Stone. Did we procure Maddox knowing that only one company was going to be compatible with it?
we mainly procured Maddox because that's what's integrated in our current CAMA software. The CAMA software is the big driver for us because CAMA is not a huge market in the United States. CAMA's a huge market in the United States because there's a lot of assessing offices and appraisal districts and what have you. The problem that you run into is everybody has their own laws, and even like between New Mexico and Texas, the laws are the same. And you might say, well, everybody appraises property and it's all the same. You know, the rules of appraisal and the methodology is similar. It should be the same, but it's not when you come to the assessment level about how the laws are applied. So it's not enough just to have software that can do the appraisal. They have to integrate and follow the laws of Texas in establishing the taxable values of the properties, and that's where you run into an issue. So we are constrained in that we've got to make sure that whatever we get is functional with our appraisal software because that's our bread and butter. So anything that we get, we got to make sure the first question is it going to integrate with the existing appraisal software? And that's why we went with Maddox, because Maddox is the same company that does our appraisal software. It integrates with the data from our appraisal software. We don't have to do any kind of gyrations or weird transformations or anything to get the data. and it integrates with the aerial photography from Eagle View, and it's all seamless, and it's easy for appraisers that aren't technical gurus to be able to use it.
And the reason I ask is, as a steward of taxpayers' money, in this case, it's still taxpayer money we're using.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that we're not precluding a competitor, for example, to come and do an RFP 2 years down the line, because we are only working with certain software. I mean, I don't.
And in 2 years, we will revisit it, because
That's why we did
I
it 2 year.
suspect, because Bear is using a different vendor, and they're one of the big dogs in Texas for this company, that sooner or later, Nearmap is going to get integrated like Eagle View is, but
But I
it's
believe-
not right now.
But I believe Bear is using a hybrid. They're using two different, they're using Eagle View and another software. They're using two different ones to see which one integrates with what they have. For those of you that don't know, by law and by the property value study and the state comptrollers, we have to have a CAMA system. It's required by the comptroller's office. And a CAMA system is a computer automated mass appraisal system that we have to have. So if you're wondering why this is a big deal, we have to
Yeah,
have
and I understand, and
Yeah.
I'm satisfied with your answer. I guess I just wanted to ensure that we were not steering any contracts for any specific reason.
sir.
No,
I'm satisfied
no,
with you. I'm
yeah,
satisfied with
we're
you.
not trying to steer it. And I get where you're coming from, and I when I see 255,000 a year, I'm kind of like, ugh.
We want to make sure we're
But
getting
that's
the
what it
best value.
costs,
Yeah.
because right now, we have to have planes and fly. Now, they keep talking about drones, but drones aren't really there yet, and someday maybe they will be, and then the cost can come down even for Eagle View, because I'm sure once drones become more economic and capable, they're going to look at it too, because that's part of their biggest cost, is the flight of the plane to fly over and take the photographs. So if you can get rid of that, you eliminate the cost of the pilot and the cost of operating the plane, and it'll be cheaper, but we're not really there yet.
And that's why we're doing a 2 year.
Thank you.
A 2 year instead of a 6 year. So we have that capability.
Ms. York.
I take it we need a motion
I have a
for
comment
it?
too, but
Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. You have a question?
Yes. So how much is the budget for this, where you're taking the 255,000 out?
The
Total?
original line item was 210,000, and there's a $50,000 item for custom CAMA programming that will shift money from that into this to make up the shortfall.
Oh, that's the clarification that I needed from earlier. And then the other thing is, why isn't there any backup on this item?
We
were still-
were working with them
working on
up
it.
till the last minute, trying to get the quotes and trying to get the stuff together, and we just didn't have it ready in time that we had to post the agenda. So that's why we put in there that we'd bring the details to the meeting, and basically it's going to be 255,000 for 2 years.
Yeah, I would have just appreciated that, at
Yes,
least a handout
yeah.
here at the
Sure.
meeting
I
where
understand.
I
We-
could
we
clearly
usually-
see it on paper rather than
And we
taking notes
usually
from
try
spoken
to-
word.
We usually do that, but because we were working with them all the way up to this morning with information back and forth. So, yes, sir.
Okay, and then I have a couple of comments. I think I caught where this 255,000 does not, the agenda item
Yeah.
includes change
Yeah,
detection.
on the change detection, we would like to table that portion until
So-
next month, because we're still working on them to get a quote for what the change.
And this will be with Eagle View.
Yes.
Yes.
And
And we have
so-
a separate budget item for Change
Yeah.
Finder.
Okay, so that we can anticipate another ask
Yes.
for, on this, will it be a same
if
contract or
it's-
will it be a separate contract?
It's a separate thing. The change finder is not a yearly thing that we do. The aerial photography is going to be yearly. The change finder, we try to do at least once every 5 years.
Okay,
This is the fifth year. Well, last year actually would have been the 5th year from the last time we ran Change Finder, and we had it in the budget for last year, but we did not run it because we were worried about the expenses from COVID. So we kind of let that fall by the wayside. but this year we need to run a check.
Let me explain a little
Wait,
bit more, Mr. Miller.
Here's another question, and then maybe you can answer at the same time. Is Change Finder, will it be considered a sole source procurement, or are
Yes.
there other sources
No,
for
there's no,
Change Finder?
right. It's a sole source.
source.
And it's in the budget, and so if we come to the agreement and it's the budget amount, we don't need to come to the board for approval because the board's already approved the budget. The reason we came to this is it's a brand-new contract with the pictometry. We're asking for a different, a 2-year than the other. The change finder we had included in this because we thought we'd do it all at one time, but since we're still working on it, and if it comes in below what's in our budget, then there'd be no reason to come before the board.
Okay.
It's already been approved by the board, by approving the budget.
The second item I wanted to visit about, and this is to the board mainly, and Mr. Avalos brought it up, was sold as public officials, sole source purchasing scares the hell out of me. And most other entities have a sole source policy or procedure or documentation. Do we have that sort of procedure in our procurement methodology that speaks
Well,
strictly to
the-
how you procure
Our
sole source
procurement
stuff?
is, according to the property tax code, is supposed to be the same as the procurement policies for municipalities. And all it says is, we don't have a formal written policy, we just follow the state law on the municipal guidelines. But one of the exceptions to having to go out to bid is sole source. And this is a sole source because they have the only aerial photography that fully integrates into the software.
And my comment is not to whether it's sole
Yeah.
source or not, it's how we determine that it's sole
Right.
source, and is the documentation in line to support the fact that it's
Yes,
sole
sir.
source? That's the
Yes.
chain that I'm looking for, is it will stand an audit, not.
It will. We've
withstand
done this
an audit.
before, and it has withstood an audit.
So my concern is that you make those steps, because it's,
Yeah.
We do.
we do not want to run afoul of that.
No, and we have never run afoul. We've always.
Okay.
One last question,
Okay.
but just so I have it right, did you say it's 2 flights a year or
No, 2 flights
total
over 2 years.
for the 2 years? So
One
one
flight
a
a year, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Acevedo.
What if this was moved to next month so it's more complete? Because it seems like you want to split it because you didn't finish the
Well,
change.
the reason that we're trying to push this quickly is because we have to book a flight. We're competing with other districts on being able to get our flight in, and if we delay too long, then we're not going to get our flight in maybe until next year, early next year. And we're trying to get it in now, and one of the advantages that El Paso has over some of the other districts is we don't have the tree cover here that they have in more verdant areas of the state. So we can get our flight in before everybody else because we don't have as much tree cover to worry about. And so that gives us a leg up on getting our flight scheduled. So the further we push this back, the more competition we're going to get into with other people that are also trying to get their flights in, and we want to make sure that we get ours in.
Well, and also, if I can lay blame on me, it never should have been combined. The aerial photography is a totally separate contract. It's a separate deal that we're working with. The change finder is something additional. It's kind of like buying a computer and then you buy the stuff to go with it. So right now what we're trying to do is purchase the aerials, the aerial contract. So it never should have been the same action item or same item on the agenda. And that's my fault. I didn't catch that, and I apologize for that. It's two totally separate issues.
How long do these flights take? How long is it going to take?
So it depends. There's a lot of variables. Obviously, weather being the
Right,
biggest of them. Depends on how many airplanes that we put on it. Typically we would have at least 2 or 3 for a county y'all size. If everything goes smoothly, it's usually about a 3-week process, and then we have to evaluate, look at all the imagery,
Right,
make sure
right.
everything's coverage, and then there's usually a little bit of reflies to fill in gaps and things like that.
Like a month.
About a month, yeah. then we have to process the imagery, and it's generally about a 60-day window.
I was hoping you guys were going to say, even if we had competition, we're the cheapest anyway, we're still going to give it to you.
You know, I guess I would point out, just as a point of note, that it is cheaper than the last flight. The last flight was $286,000. Now, again, that was paid over 2 years, so your annual cost is going up. But the 255 has gone down, and the previous flight was a mix of 3-inch and 9-inch, whereas this is 3-inch. So the pricing has gotten significantly better in the last few years.
Any further questions? If we have a motion, can we please, in your motion, address the fact that we are not doing part of the motion, and this only addresses part of it? Is there a motion on this?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the contract for aerial photography with Eagle View.
In the
Can
amount
you add with that we are deleting the portion about the change detection?
I don't think we need to. I think just the
it's-
motion is just
Because the
motion.
contract with Eagle View, the way it's written
Oh,
in
okay.
here
Oh,
would be
I'm happy
that it was
to.
both
Sure.
of them. And
So I move to approve the contract for aerial photography with Eagle View with the deletion of change detection.
thank you.
Better?
You might add,
Oh,
in
we're gonna table it.
accord with what you said, with whatever policy we have dealing with with a contract with only a single vendor. We just want to make it clear that this is extraneous. Because I agree with you, what you said was perfect.
It scares me.
It was scary because it is a single vendor procurement.
I have that motion. I think we'll be fine, but I have a motion. Can anybody second that?
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Go ahead, second.
Okay, I have a second. Now we can have more discussion.
Now,
Thank you.
I just wanted something in there that made you come, because it is scary, and I've been on other public, but without, that it's just a single procured vendor. And like I said, I'm not really worried. I think even if
No,
they have
and
competition.
you've stated that you follow these procurements. I think it's something that we might talk about at a later date about a
Okay.
policy change, but
Yeah.
certainly, yeah.
Do we need to add 2 years and the 255,840?
See, that's the thing. We don't have any backup, so we don't have anything to actually approve.
So I'd like to amend my motion to be the contract for aerial photography with Eagle View with the deletion of the change detection as presented to us by the administration.
Okay, for a 2-year term. I think we can do that.
Second amended?
Second.
Okay, I have the motion and the second. Is everybody comfortable with that?
No,
What else do we need?
I'm not going to approve this because of the reasons that you just stated. A sole source contract is something I'm going to run away from. So on principle, I'm going to vote no
Okay.
for the lack of documentation.
Can we table this? I mean, I know it was probably.
No, she needs.
Well, we have a motion and
Oh,
a second. We
can
need to
vote. We got a
fly it.
motion
They
on the
need to
floor.
schedule it. They need to
I have
schedule it.
concerns. I think that this one is, I would have really liked to see the contract because we don't know what we're approving there. But for the 2 years and for the limit of the $255,000 as stated, I'm willing to go with that. I mean, that's the motion on the table, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, further discussion?
So we are going to add the 2 years and 255,840.
Well, she said as discussed
presented.
here, and that's what we discussed here and made very clear.
I just want to, it just feels like if you don't approve it, we are not going to get it. You know what I mean? It's like approve it or else. And I just don't feel comfortable being in that position, especially not getting any backup. And I just want to throw that out there.
It's rushed.
And I understand why, but I feel like even then you could have still brought papers to pass around to everybody.
Can we schedule special meetings?
Yes?
This
I was just going to suggest that.
Okay. To procedurally,
We do have a
we do
motion
have
on
a
the
motion
floor.
and a second on the table that we need to act on. Yes to your question, but I guess we can call this question and then we can discuss further if we need to. So I believe that in this light, I will call for an individual vote. So I would, Mr. Avalos?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Although I agree with
Yes.
Okay, yes, and so the motion will carry.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying, 100%. and
Respect
you.
everybody's view, and
It's
that's not a
really-
knock on you guys. Thank you for your work.
It's really uncomfortable
And I
not
think
to have
if it
that
weren't
contract
for they
sitting
need
here.
to schedule it higher.
For future
I think-
reference.
It was more
Hearing.
procedural
Sure.
on how we got here.
We
Not
understand.
because of the service.
We understand.
Thank you. We can move on to item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding regarding the December 2021 Board of Directors meeting. I think the proposal is that we
Right.
traditionally don't have a December meeting. I would say that's up to you.
Right. December, it's very hard to get a quorum in December. Historically, we've never had a December meeting unless we have an emergency meeting. But, just right here, no. So what we try to do is start early enough to say we're not going to have one, so that the board members, especially because we have so many school board members, there's a lot going on in December because you're ending your first semester. So we usually bring about this time to the board to ask them if they would be willing to just cancel the December meeting. We already know everybody's going to be busy. Very rarely have we been able to get quorum. So it's just become a standard request from the appraisal district to cancel the December meeting. We're at the appraisal district, we're trying to finalize our audit. We're getting ready for the first of the year. We're doing a lot of testing of values, and so that's why we're bringing it to the board. By law, by this property tax code, board of directors of appraisal districts only have to meet once a quarter. So that's 4 times a year is all that you're required to meet. We meet more than that. We meet 10 times a year. So we definitely meet the requirement of meeting every quarter. So you're not going to be in non-compliance for anything.
Okay. Motion to approve. Is there anything else?
Do we vote on that?
I mean,
Vote on it? We have to vote on it, don't
We
we?
normally don't
leave
even
it
have any
defer to you
business.
and
Yeah.
the chair. It's up to you. If you
I
want
mean,
to call a meeting,
that's
call a
the
meeting.
thing. I mean,
I want a motion for a Christmas party.
I'll second that.
How about Thanksgiving?
That'll be the good one, too.
okay, I really don't, I think this is the direct discretion of the chief
I agree.
appraiser and the board president.
And
So
the
I don't
chair,
believe we
and the
need
chair
to-
of the meeting.
I don't believe we need to vote on that. But thank you for bringing it up.
So we,
So no meeting
No
in
meeting.
December?
At this time,
Well, at this time.
at this time.
There's no
Are you watching your mail?
Discussion and possible action regarding EPCAD's proposed 2022 holiday schedule.
You all received a copy of the holiday schedule that we have currently and the one that we're requesting. If you will notice at the top of the page, we don't have New Year's Day, January 1 of 2022. But if you look at your 2021, we do have New Year's Eve Day. New Year's Day is on a Saturday, this New Year's, and next New Year's is on a Sunday. So that New Year's Eve Day, Friday, would be the holiday, or you could add another day, because we've been having New Year's Eve Day and New Year's Day. But since it fell on the weekend, we just put the New Year's Eve Day as the holiday, which would be the New Year's Day, because it's Saturday and Sunday. Also, we did add in Juneteenth. We understand that's June 20th, that's now an observed holiday, or that's a federal holiday now. So we put that in there. I had come to the board last year about having that Juneteenth day in, and we decided at the last holiday schedule not to put it in. At my request, because June is a very, very busy time for us, but it's now a federal holiday, so we added it into our holiday schedule.
So would you suggest that we add, would you suggest that we add January 4th to observe New Year's Day, even if it lands on that Saturday? Or the 3rd, I'm sorry?
It's how the board's discretion. We're getting that Friday off as the New Year's Eve day. It's that Friday before the New Year's Day on Saturday, and the Friday before New Year's Day the next year, the end of the year, because that's on a Sunday. So that would cover the holiday for New Year's.
This gives them their one day off.
It gives them the one day. Now in 3 years from now, if it falls like on a Tuesday, New Year's Day falls on a Tuesday, we'll come to the board and say, can we have Monday and Tuesday? Because having everybody come in, everybody wants to take the day off, and having them come in on Monday and then they're off on Tuesday and then Wednesday. So something like that, we may come in. That's how it kind of ended up this way in the first place.
So will the 2023 calendar give them a day also in 2023?
Yeah, I mean, the
So
reason
that
I
takes-
ask,
That's what takes care
Yes,
of
we
what
will.
you're
It'll give them a day off.
talking about.
Yeah, we'll come back next year with the 2023, and that day you'll be in there.
yeah, no, the only reason I ask is because I know organizations will still observe the day after on the work
Sure.
day, right? Just since it kind of landed on a weekend out of no one's
Right.
fault.
Sometimes
And
it's a
so
Monday.
they come back on that Tuesday, right? So I was just throwing that out there. I wouldn't mind going in that direction for the CAD.
My staff would love extra days, no, that's for sure, but, so it's whatever the board, because the board does approve our holiday schedule, so, however the board, these are the same number of days, as we currently have going into the 2022 year, so, whatever the board would like to do, I'm fine with.
And then on just little small thing, I think the Indigenous Peoples Day, I think the apostrophe is after the S.
Okay.
And then you have it like that on the other one. So I'm like, did it switch somehow? I'm like, I
Yeah.
just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes. No, it was just a typo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a
Good
typo.
job, you catch everything.
You must be a school teacher.
I am not.
So do we have a motion on the holidays?
To approve.
As presented.
Can I
Okay.
make a motion on this?
Oh, well, I have a motion here. Does it have a second?
I did second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. So,
We'll let you do the next one.
I just wanted to add January 3rd.
Oh. Okay, I move to amend my motion.
so that's giving them one extra day.
Do we have the budget for that, first of all?
Yes, sir.
That's,
Yeah, do you guys want to do that? I don't know.
What's January 3rd, Monday? Oh,
I
because
get your point
there's no day,
completely.
because there's no day. We're not getting
January
a day.
3rd is a Monday.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
So they're not getting the 31st is what you're saying?
They're getting the 31st, but they would get the 31st and 1st, but they're not getting the 1st because it lands on
they're
a
getting a
Saturday.
4-day weekend, is what they're doing.
So you want
They
to give
would
them a 4-day
get
weekend?
That Monday, yes.
Okay. I move to amend my motion.
Second.
Okay. Now,
Okay, I have a motion and this amended motion in a second to add January 3rd to the list of holidays as presented. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item 7 is the taxpayer liaison report.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Tracy Carter, Taxpayer Liaison Officer. I wanted to give you all an update on our search or quest for the Appraisal Review Board members. So far, I received 22 applications. We do have 19 openings, so we are needing more applications. So I did speak with Judge Chu, and she did agree to go ahead and put another advertisement out in the paper, the El Paso Times and the Diario, and we're also going to extend the deadline to November 15th. That way, hopefully, we can get at least 7 more applications. So I'm asking you all, our board members, if you all have any friends or associates that are willing to serve our community here in El Paso as a member of the Appraisal Review Board, please give them my information. I will leave applications with my card up here on this table. If
We
you all
get
would
an
like.
email specifying responsibilities and pay so that we can advertise it for you guys?
Yes, I'll get that to you.
that's a good idea.
There's
Yeah, because
no,
we do advertise it.
there is
And-
no pay. They do receive a per diem.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Be careful, because everybody goes,
You're right.
because then they
You're
think they're an
right.
employee. Yeah.
And their requirements, what they need.
Was it like
The requirement is
150.
150?
that you live in El Paso County for 2 years, that you do not owe any property taxes, whether it's residential, commercial, business, personal property, that you don't owe any back taxes, that you're not related to anybody that works for the Paso Central Appraisal District or related to anybody that's on the board, and that you have not served your 6 years or 3 terms on the board already, of the Appraisal Review Board.
Yeah, send that to us, because that's a lot.
Oh, yes, I'll be more than happy to. Thank you.
Would y'all like that emailed to you?
Yes.
Okay, we'll make
Okay,
sure
Marty.
she has your email addresses and she
So
can email that.
19 openings.
Yes, and then we have 22 applications. But we know throughout the year, we have members dropping out.
How many did we lose this year?
We lost 8.
That was my question, is why so many openings? What happened?
It's partly due to the pandemic.
And they only serve 2-year terms.
And they had a
not
heck of a
6.
year this year.
Yeah.
Everybody was yelling at them.
Everybody was yelling at them, yeah, we lost a few.
That's it right there. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Kinda
it's
like
a rough,
property
it's a
value.
rough
We're not knocking
volunteer.
down our doors. We're not getting people to knock down our doors.
Right.
We wish.
Well, thank you very much, board members, and I will get an email out to all of y'all tomorrow
Any
morning.
further
Thank you,
questions?
Tracy.
Thank you.
Tracy?
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 8 is the chief appraiser report.
Just to let the board members know, October 1st, the appraisal district mails letters to all of your entities. This is an odd year, and so starting January 1 of an even year, you board members serve 2-year terms. And so we send out letters the 1st of October to all of your entities so that they can reappoint, appoint somebody else, or take no action. If they take no action, then by osmosis, you stay on the board. But that went out to like your school superintendents, to your board chairs, to the mayor, to the county judge. So those went out in October. So you may be seeing that on your agendas to appoint or reappoint as a board member. Now, the new law has changed. It went into effect, goes into effect as of January 1. Used to, you could serve on the board forever as long as you got reappointed. And now you can only serve 5 2-year terms. So the 5 2-year terms. So the max would be 10 years now. Education courses, we were talking about education earlier. We have had since August, Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practices reviewed, Texas tax law, appraisal analysis, IWO, business personal property. We're having another business personal property class and an income approach class coming up in November. So we've been pretty busy in September and October with our classes. On October 13th, we had kind of the first ever true health fair here for our employees. Our HR department worked really hard, especially a gentleman by the name of Robert Garcia in our HR department, and brought in 17 vendors. We had them in this room and in the hallway in the rooms next door. And over there, one of the vendors was Walgreens, and they gave our employees shots, those that flu shots, those that wanted them. We had, again, the Army Reserve out in the parking lot giving COVID shots to not only our employees, families, friends, any of the community that went by. They were here giving out the COVID and the boosters. The vendors we had ranged from Allstate Insurance to a couple of vegan natural cooking. One gentleman was cooking vegan dishes and BMI testing, stress, water, a lot of health things. We had United Way was here, and so it was a really nice turnout. And the employees, it's first time ever we had vendors that actually gave like little goodie bags, you know, like pins and squishy balls and things. Our employees were just thrilled. They just love being able to have something like that. And they've already, we asked them to fill out a survey and let us know their thoughts and what they'd like to see again. And they all came back, yes, yes, please do it again. The bills, to let y'all know, our bill, we send over after the hearings are over, and we send our certified appraisal roll in July, by July 25th to the taxing entities. We continue having hearings. And we can continue having hearings until the protests are pretty much done. But then we continue making changes to that appraisal roll. Well, we sent over the tax office, the consolidated tax office for the city of El Paso does the tax collecting for everybody. So we sent over on the 27th of October, the new, September, the new bill file. And took a couple of days for them to review it. We made some changes. So they had the bill file so they can generate the tax bills. Tax bills should be going out this week. We talked to the tax office last week, and they said they'd be going out mid to late this week to the property owners. So if anybody you know, ask about them. Now, you can get into the El Paso Texas.gov website. You go to the tax department, you put in your address, and it will show you what your tax bill is current. So that was already up and running a couple of weeks ago. So that is there. So if anybody asks you, the tax office is the one that does that. We will be going back to the tax office. For those of you that are new, we allow them to have a mobile unit, like an armored car mobile unit in our parking lot the last week of January. So property owners can walk up and pay their tax bills here if they don't want to go downtown, since we are so central. So we're working with Maria Pasillas, City Tax Assessor Collector, to offer that again January of 2022, to have that mobile unit here. Late protest hearing, property owners are allowed to file late protests. If they don't like something, they have to meet certain criteria. They can file a protest. So we'll be having protest hearings again, November 1st through 9th. So we will be having the panels and the ARB here again. When we get so many of them, we don't wait until we start up again next spring. We want to get these hearings done as quickly as possible. There is a new law now that went into effect that once they file that late protest, there's only so many days in which we have to be able to schedule them. So we will be meeting that by having these hearings November 1st through 9th. The ARB on the 28th of October, this coming Wednesday next week. The Appraisal Review Board attorney will be here to further give training to the Appraisal Review Board members, letting them know the changes in the law that are going into effect currently and then as of January 1 that they need to be aware of. So that will be happening. And that's about it. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Report on the building repairs.
On the parking lot? Okay, we did have an architect come look at it. We reviewed it. It is strictly surface. There is no damage. So, and it's less, it came out at about $35,000 to dig up that concrete and, $3,500, yeah.
3,500?
35,000. They're going to, yeah, 3,500. I wish.
I want the name of the contractor. No, my question is, one contractor, or did you put it out to bid?
Well, we have a contractor that works on our building and knows our building, and so we went ahead and stayed with that contractor. Because it's under the $50,000, we don't have to go out to bid. So since it's under $50,000, all they're going to do is tear up it's a surface issue on the concrete. There's no damage. They'll take that out and re-pour it and then put a sealant. And so it's under the $50,000, so we don't have to go out to bid. This is a contractor that we've used before, and we're very comfortable with. They know our building. They're very fair. And Rick, I don't think they...
Who's the contractor? I'm sorry?
BASE, B-A-S-E contractors. So we're going to go ahead.
Seems like a lot of money.
Well, we're going to go ahead and get that done. If we find that there's something else, then we will stop everything and come back to the board. And
So
then
that's going to
when
solve
we're
your
at.
problem, the leakage, right?
That will
Yeah,
solve
yeah,
it, yes.
they'll-
That will solve that.
Any guarantees or warranties on that?
Yes, there will be some guarantees and warranties on that. Yes, sir. And that's it.
Any further questions? Very well. Okay, at this juncture, we are going into an executive session item, so we will adjourn into we'll have to vote on that. I want to make very clear before we go in that the agenda item is posted, says discussion and possible action regarding chief appraiser evaluation and conflict. We will not have action in executive session. So please understand that the possible action is deleted from that portion of the agenda.
And board members, it is my option to come out of executive to discuss this instead of in executive. That's allowed, but I have visited with Mr. Miller, and we've agreed to do this in executive session.
But for the record, we will make there will be no action taken in executive session. It is now, let's see, so I guess I have to have a vote to go into to executive session.
To adjourn first the regular meeting.
Well, I